episode of The Art Study of You. I am your host, Cameron Gilmore. And yes, this lovely lady sitting next to me is my hot wife. That's what you guys know her as, but you also call her Jesika. We are here. It's going to change this up a little bit. What we're going to do is we're going to look back at the 13 interviews that we've had. We broke them up into 2 segments, but they are 13. I can't believe we've done 13 interviews, which is so much fun. But a lot of really cool gems that we've had, a lot of really cool gems that we've listened to think about, ponder about. And we want to cut that out and give you our take on it. So I want to give you my take on it, but I also want my hot wife to give you her take because she can bring a different perspective. And I think it's what's missing. Obviously, a mom, a blended family, a woman who's forward thinking. So that's why she's on here, to help give that perspective and also to make this whole thing look really, really good. So thank you very much for being on. Anything you want to say?
Let's go.
Let's go. All right. So we are going to listen to the first one. This is our good friend, Corey Benson, and we'll come back and tell you our thoughts about this whole interview.
Let's go.
And so went through that. That was uglier than my divorce, actually. Divorcing to my business partner. Shit, I'll never do that again. But after that, it's like, okay, what am I going to do? And we had a little bit of money saved up, not a ton, but we had enough. And my wife at the time was very successful. And she told me, just like, just follow your passion, like go do what you want to do. So I started an aviation company, had no idea what I was doing, had no idea how the business worked. And my intention was just to become an aircraft broker, a salesperson, basically like a real estate agent, but my houses have wings and there can be anywhere in the world.
Right.
And so I rented a little office. I talked one of my sales managers at the car dealership to come in and go with me. And we just started cold calling. Like, we got a list of aircraft owners and just smiled and dialed. And I remember getting my very first listing. I was so excited. And then had no idea what to do with it or how to work it, but I knew the art of sales.
Yeah.
At least somewhat. I mean, that's all I'd really done. And so I just put all my eggs into one basket and I was like, I'm going to do what I love. And even if I make less money, I would rather wake up and want to go to work than be making a shit ton of money and not enjoying my life. And so I took a big gamble. I left the car industry and I remember, you probably heard I don't know if there's a book or a story, I don't even know if it's actually true, but the burning of the ships, where they pull up and they're going into war and the leader of the army burns all the ships so they have no way to retreat. So I ended up taking I remember I was at Snow Basin, I had a big cigar and I was with my buddy and we took our car salesman license and we burned it. We're like, there's no going back. Like, this is my new life. I'm going to follow my passion. I'm going to find a way to make it work. So that's where CB Aviation started. Now we've rebranded to CB SkyShare.
Man, guys, so I love this interview because Corey goes in and talks a lot about the burning of the ships. And to me, what I pull from that is, letting go of that past, letting go of the crutch that he had that he could always go back to, which was that car industry. And so once he burned it, once he said, no more, enough is enough, it's time to go all in on my passion. To me, that's huge. And oftentimes I don't go all the way in. The second thing you talked about was goals. If you listen later on in the interview, he talks about his goals and laminating goals, putting his goals down in his shower. I have felt bad at goals with this past few weeks where I've lost perspective on it. And it derailed me, literally derailed me. But be able to get back and course correct and get back on the goal setting again and get back on the focus, it helps me become a better person. And I think I learned so much about Corey and listening to him and his business partner, always having a battle buddy when you're pursuing that dream and pursuing that happiness, pursuing your passion. And to me, that was huge listening to that. So that was my takeaway. Hot wife, what do you think?
Okay. So my takeaway is a little bit different. And if you'll bear with me for a moment, as a mom, we get wrapped up in being a mom and doing all the mom things and all the wife things. And I have kids from the age of 10 all the way up to almost 27. And in the midst of that, I have lost who I am. And I think I've burnt ships, you know, over the course of years when I shouldn't have burnt those ships because I forgot who I was and what my passions were. And so I think that taking that, I guess, principle and applying it now has allowed me to find more of who I am. Like, I am not just a mom, I'm not just a wife, but I'm Jessica and I can have passions and I can do all those things. And so versus burning the ships, reignite it, bring it back, sail on the ships, find your ships and become who you are meant to be. And I think the goal setting, I think having your battle buddy, like what you said, I think, you encourage me to fulfill my dreams and my passions. And I think that's awesome. Everybody needs one, whether it's a spouse, whether it's a roommate or a sister, brother, whatever it might be, just a friend. I think it's important. So for me, don't burn the ships.
That's right.
Go find your ships.
Oh, I love that. Don't burn them. Go find them. Whew, told you. She's going to bring the heat. She's going to bring the heat, people. Better get your pad and paper out and notes. Start taking notes. It's going to be a lot of fun. So, all right. So the second interview we want to talk about is my good friend Kane from Australia.
Who has a really good accent.
Yes, he does. A great accent.
Love the Australian accent.
Love it. Love it. Love it. He was the one that we talked about, him being the Australian version of The Pursuit of Happiness.
Love that movie too.
Such a great movie. So we're going to play the clip and we're going to come back and give you our thoughts on our good friend Kane. So here we go.
More on the basis that statistically I shouldn't be where I am. I beat the odds, right? Not just on getting out of the life I was in, the upbringing I was exposed to, all the people I was around, just having a normal life and coming out of that life just into a normal life, having an average job, having a family, and not going down a really, really terrible path. The odds are very, very slight. But I actually went beyond that. And that's when I first proved people wrong or proved the odds wrong. And I was like, people like, oh, you shouldn't, go into finance. I remember I used to work in the mines and folks used to see like stock charts in my room and books. And they just thought, what the hell are you reading a book for, man? You freaking work in a mine. And then years later, running into a couple of these guys that we worked with at a funeral. So one of the guys we worked with died many years later. And I remember I had a business at the time. And they're like, oh man, I seen you on that thing and on social media and you're killing it. And it's just this moment of like, holy shit, everything that could have stopped me could have been just me accepting what they pushed on to me as their beliefs. Mm-hmm. And I chose to say no. And because I didn't allow those thoughts to dictate my own, I pushed the status quo. And then when I got to this point now, and it's like, okay, I'm pretty privileged. I'm not ultra wealthy. I'm not like flying around in jets, but I'm living I could live a pretty above average life. And I'm headed on down a path where I eventually will be able to retire, I think, well before my retirement. I'll be able to do a lot of cool things, but it's not even, my life is, I could live off such minimal wage. I don't really want a lot. And then I realized that it's almost like this luck I want to pass on. I want people to understand it's possible. I want to instill belief in people. I want to be that spark that sets them on that path to get the momentum and belief, because I didn't really wake up and go, hey, I want to be all the way up here doing all these things. It was like, hey, I might just get up this next level. And then when it happened, I went, oh, that's interesting. I achieved that. Everyone was wrong. And then it was like, maybe we'll go a bit higher. And ever since then, it's just like, can we go a little bit higher? Can we go a little bit higher? And I think that's where you start to realize there's unlimited possibility. And the only thing that holds you back is not trying, or not doing or not taking action. And, now it's like, well, I one day, when I say I want to own my own retreat, it's not like I'll probably do it at, I'm in my 30s now, so it probably won't even be 40, probably won't even be 50, it might be 60. Be somewhere like 20, 30 years down the track, do all this stuff in business. I do a lot of volunteer for youth. I've done foster care in a teenage kid. It's something I really enjoy contributing to. And I feel like you should give back. It's almost like, I don't know, I think guilt or a gratitude thing. It's a bit of both. It's a very mixed emotion. But I still don't understand, was it luck that got me out? Because it almost has to be luck. Mm-hmm. It's like the odds are so far against me that, like I said, I landed on the spot in that job, and then I succeeded in the internship, then I got poached, and then it's like, there's been heaps of adversity through it, but it just seems like it just gets better every couple of years. There's a bit of adversity and things get better, and it's just like, it keeps just putting me on this path. And I feel like maybe there's something I'm meant to just, share through my life experience back to some other kid, that all they need is someone just to tell me you can do it. I've done it. It's got to be okay. Believe in yourself, take that job. Because if I listen to a lot of the negative people, the limiting people, I definitely wouldn't have done it. I would have been still sitting in a labouring job, there's nothing wrong with that, doing an honest living. But I would have had a labouring job. I wouldn't have pushed my education. I probably wouldn't have believed in myself. I probably would have left it at that and could have easily accepted life.
Man, guys, so I really love this clip from Kane because he gets into this whole mindset of, well, think about it. He had all of these guys working in a mine, and he had these charts up, and he would talk about these charts, and they would say, why are you reading these charts? You work in a mine, right? And it brought me instantly to the analogy of a lobster, right? You put a lobster in a pot of water and it's going to make its way out, but you put two lobsters in there. One of those lobsters is going to try to keep the other one down. And if the one lobster that's trying to get out continues to try to get out, that lobster will break a portion of its leg. And eventually, if more lobsters are put into that pot, those lobsters that are seeing other lobsters trying to get out, they're going to keep snapping arms off, and they'll eventually just kill these lobsters. And I think this is so important because it's not saying people are lobsters, but it's these dream killers, right? It's this notion of, hey, you work in this space, know your space. Do not try to grow out of that. Do not try to get bigger of that. Do not become better than what you are. Just because you work in a mine or just because you work a 9-to-5 job does not mean you stop growing and stop progressing. And that to me was huge when I listened to that. And I was like, man, dude, that was like, it was in a moment that I realized that I built for something greater. And I knew I was built for something greater, but then I would talk about it. And people that I love, trusted, and respected were like, but that's not, why would you do that? Like, you can't do anything. You can't make any money. You can't support things. And it was like just knocking down. But as soon as I shifted the brain into my mindset of love, I'm just going to do it regardless of what people say, and have, again, going back to that battle buddy, have somebody that can push you. Man, we're here today. We're here today. So that's my take. That was my take on it. Hot wife?
I think my take is a little, obviously, I tend to gravitate more towards mom things. And as I listened to that interview, there were spots where, he didn't want to let his past define him today. He was trying to do things that would help him be better. I think oftentimes as moms, I'm very guilty of this. I find myself, or I get myself into a rut of comparison of other moms. And I feel like, oh, well, that mom is doing this, or, oh, that mom makes the cookies, or, oh, that mom, has all the cute crafts, or, oh, her hair is done so cute. And you get into the comparison game and you lose who you are, and you're not becoming better yourself. And so I think something that I strive for is to be the best that I can be, not compared to anybody else, because comparison is the thief of joy. And so I think when we can actually focus on ourselves, focus on bettering ourselves, like, you were meant to be your child's mom. You are the perfect mom for your child. And even though you see somebody else doing something so much greater that you feel is greater, your child was meant for you. They love you for you. And so I don't know, when I realized that, it was a huge wake-up call for me, and it helped me to actually be a better mom. I still find myself slipping into the comparison trap, but I definitely try to navigate towards just remembering these are my kids. I am their mom, and I don't have to worry about anything else. And so that's my take on it.
I've never heard this saying. Comparison is the thief of joy.
Yeah. Think about it. It's true. When you're comparing, it's taking away your joy because you're focusing on something else and not on yourself or the joy that you have.
Yeah. Heat, people. The heat. Comparison is, if I were to ever get a tattoo, I probably would get, no, I wouldn't get that. But right. That's pretty freaking good. Holy cow.
I read it somewhere. I don't know who said it, but yeah, I didn't create it. I'm not taking credit for it, but.
Comparison is the thief of joy.
100%.
Wow.
Every time.
That's so good. Man, hot wife, you're on a roll right now. Let's go. All right. Episode 3, Rob Poloki, our good friend Rob Poloki from Idaho. Remember, he was in public service. He quit that to pursue his washi dream, a toilet man. So let's go listen to our good friend Rob, and we'll come back and give you some more insight on what we think about the clips.
Let's do it.
Hustle, right? They hustle to do what they do. But now you're in a unique position, right? Where you obviously will touch more about you being an elected official, your entrepreneurship. How are you taking what you learned as a kid and instilling that in your own children? And now this new unknown hustle, right? Your hustle, what you saw your parents was one. Now you have a hustle. It's still a hustle, but it's a different type of hustle. So bring us into that. Help us understand how you're instilling that hustle into not only your kids, but those that you oversee.
Yeah, so my parents' hustle was grinding it out from 6 a.m. in the morning and not seeing my dad till 10 o'clock at night because he's gone working all kinds of jobs, finding all kinds of hours anywhere to bring home money, right?
Mhm.
That's the hustle that I saw my parents. Their grind was a different grind, but it was the 9 to 5, the 7 days a week grind, right?
Right.
And as I've progressed and as our families progressed, now the grind is this, right? Is not really working like 24 hours a day, but using what I've learned throughout my childhood and college to multiply that by 10, right? Just to use our minds rather than the physical labor, use our minds to have some multiple businesses, to have multiple streams of income. So, and that's kind of what I'm teaching my kids. My parents taught me the hustle of hard work.
Yep.
I'm teaching my kids smart work, right? So it's all the evolution, right? It's all the evolution of what's been passed down from our parents. And bro, and the grind, man. I stay up till like 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning with our manufacturers overseas, like constantly on, up late at night and then waking up early in the morning, staying with my kids, going back to work. That is the hustle that I learned from my parents. But as we keep moving forward, now, being smarter, having multiple businesses, having people do that for us. So yeah, that's the hustle now.
That was so good.
That was
really good.
That was really good.
All of these are good.
Yeah.
But I enjoyed that.
What was your take? Or do you want me to go first?
I think our take, because we've kind of talked about this before, but I think my take, so I was married for 20 years previously, and I had 6 kids, absolutely amazing kids. And life happened and circumstances happened, and I found myself a single mom with 6 kids. And then I met Cam.
Thank you. Thank you.
And he has 4, but I call them mine. They have their own mom, and just like my kids have their own dad, but we are the mom and dad of the house. And I think the legacy that I want to leave for my children, or to create, or for anyone actually, is to be an example of perseverance and dedication, passion, commitment, loyalty to one another, because everything we do is to help build this family, for our legacy to be our family, our mixed tribe. I think it's kind of cool. It's really hard because sometimes you're not the easiest.
No.
But I don't know. What do you think?
I'm so glad you talked about that, because it is true. Like, the legacy that I would love to leave, that I know that we're building together, is we blended a family of 10 kids total. Like Jess said, 6 white kids, 4 brown kids, in a time when it was really hard. It was, our oldest, just got home from a mission. Our youngest was 4 at the time. And we had everything in between. And so we're trying to blend this family together. And we had I had been married previously for 13 years. And so we'd already had.
We'd never blended a family before.
No. Like, how do you do that? Like, how do you blend? We didn't know people that blended this. And it was rough. It was really, really rough. And like she said, I was difficult. I can joke and say it was my, my Scottish side and my native side, right? But I was difficult, and communication was the biggest thing that we struggled with, that I struggled with. But the legacy that we are building, and that I think that we're in sync with, is that our kids can look back and say, I don't know how you guys did it, but you did it. And you were able to teach us along the way principles that have shaped my life and will shape my future life, and will shape what kind of a spouse that I'm looking for. How do I want to raise my children? And when they look at us, they'll say, you know what? The relationship we had, previously, we saw there was, times obviously of joy, but now they see, even if something does happen in the future where, divorces happens, that they can see what we've done and say, you know what? Yes, even through hard times, great things can come about it. And that's, to me, what I think we're leaving, and we've left. We'll continue to leave. So any other thoughts?
No, I know. I think that pretty much sums it up.
Yeah. Yeah. So guys, we'll continue to do this. This is just the first of the many that are going to come. We'd love to hear. I would love to hear your feedback. I know Jess would love to hear your feedback. Please like, share, and comment on this. And this is the first of these episodes. So we've got more to come and more to talk about here a little bit later. But guys, thank you so much. We're in 5 countries now. It's going to be fantastic.
I would be curious to know, speaking of legacy, I want to know what legacy you want to leave. So I'm super curious to hear your thoughts on that.
Oh man, going to be good, guys. It's going to be good.
Comment below. I've always wanted to say that.
Comment.
Woo!